So for 33, which is right here, let's read the sentence real quick. But they suggest that the presence of otters provides a good model of how carbon can be sequestered or removed from the atmosphere through the management of animal populations. So first thing we see here is this semicolon, right? And we remember that in order to use a semicolon, you have to have a complete sentence before and after. So complete sentence meaning you have your subject and verb, which we actually do not find in this second part in the stuff after the semicolon. So if there's no subject or verb here, this is not a complete sentence. And if it's a fragment, we can't use this semicolon. We got to have it on both sides. So A is out. We can also look at C. Well, actually, before we do that, notice that this comma right here, notice that it's not underlined. So all of these answer choices actually have a comma like right before them. So from that, we can pretty much remove C because that would have just the word or surrounded by two commas, which doesn't really make much sense. So we can remove A and C. So we're left with B and D. So let's look at B. It has the comma after the word from. So we're saying can be sequestered, comma, or removed from the atmosphere through the management and so on. So let's remember that when something is surrounded by two commas, it means that it's some kind of elaboration or specification, qualification of something that's said before, which also means that the sentence should be able to make sense if you remove what's in between the commas. So if you put in B, and then if you have it as B, so can be sequestered, comma, or removed from, comma, the atmosphere, we should be able to read the sentence without it. But we can't, because then we would just have presence of otters provides a good model of how carbon can be sequestered the atmosphere, right? So what that means is that we need the comma before from, because carbon can be sequestered from the atmosphere, not just carbon can be sequestered the atmosphere. So that leaves us with D, and that makes sense because we then have just commas surrounding this or removed, which makes sense because in this case, the commas are playing a bit of a role of basically presenting a synonym of sequestered, right? Just like if you have some sentence, the prices have been spiked or raised in the last week, or not have been spiked, but the prices have spiked or rose in the last week, and then you have or rose surrounded by two commas. So this is sort of just a simpler definition of sequestered, and then your sentence goes on to from the atmosphere through the management of animal populations. So D.